As-salatu was-salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Welcome everybody from around the world. My name is Bilal Abdul Kareem, and this is the BAK Show, where we discuss the things which are of import to you and to the Muslims at large. I am, of course, your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem, and we're coming at you live. Tonight is a very important night because we're going to be discussing the Abraham Accords, their dangers, what they're all about, and the most important question we're going to try to tackle is Syria close to signing? That's what we're going to discuss here today. Let's get started. But first, we want to let everybody out there know that we are here working on a big project, and we need your help. This project is called Voices of Truth. Let me put this up here on the screen so that you can take a look and see at our little crowdfunding page. Now, Voices of Truth is a program wherein we are filming and documenting the atrocities which have been committed by the Assad family, the years of oppression and torture, indefinite detention, the loss of life which has taken place. It's all going to be documented. We're going all around the country, and I am heading this project. We need your help, brothers and sisters. Check out our crowdfunding page at medina.com. That's /voices of truth. Medina.com /voices of truth. We need your help. If you can help us with $10, $100, $1,000, we'd be so appreciative of it, and you'll see the fruits of our work in a very direct fashion. Okay, everybody, let's get started here. Let's take a look and see what we've got. First of all, everybody here knows this man now. This is Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, also known as Ahmed al-Shara. He is the self-imposed president of Syria. As everybody knows, Bashar al-Assad's government collapsed and crumbled on December of the 8th of last year, 2024. Now, Ahmed al-Shara went through a bit of a transformation during the years that he's been here. This is him going back to about 2013. You can't see his face because it's hidden here. This is him during the Jabhat al-Nusra days. He's doing an interview with Al Jazeera here. This is him during the Jabha Fatih Sham days. And this is him. And this is him during the Hayat al-Tahrir Sham days. Okay, brothers and sisters, we wanted to take a look at that because we want to get an idea in terms of who he is so we can get an idea in terms of where we may be going. Let's talk about the Abraham Accords. Now, the Abraham Accords, before we do that, let's see if we can kind of go back here. Okay. All right. All right, now, the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords are deals which are signed by countries in the region with Israel. They're kind of like normalization agreements, and we're going to talk about it in depth here. Now, but before we get into that, Abu Muhammad Jawlani said after the Hamas October 2023 attack, al-Jawlani praised the operation, and he said, quote, "The people of Gaza humiliated the pride of the occupying Zionists and brought joy to the hearts of the oppressed," end quote. That was his statement after the 2023 attacks. Now, take this, put it on the side. Let's talk about the Abraham Accords. Now, the Abraham Accords are agreements which were signed between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Israel and Bahrain, Israel and Morocco, Israel and Sudan. Now, these individuals are the ones, Donald Trump is one of the main architects of the Abraham Accords. Now, Donald Trump himself, he's not a religious person and never tried to pretend that he was. Why would he be interested in the Abraham Accords? What's important for him? Well, we're going to have to take a look at it. Let's go through the Abraham Accords exactly as it is worded. First, we start. We, the undersigned, which currently is Israel, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, and Sudan. And keep in the backdrop Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, and Syria. Okay, they have not signed, but let's get started with this. We, the undersigned, recognize the importance of maintaining and strengthening peace in the Middle East and around the world based on mutual understanding and coexistence, as well as respect for human dignity and freedom, including religious freedom. End quote. Nice statement. But signing an agreement like this is tantamount to stating that you see that the signatories are at least going in that direction. Based on mutual understanding, do you think that the Palestinians and the Israelis have a mutual understanding? I don't think so. And coexistence, there's a genocide that's taking place in Gaza right now. There is no such thing as coexistence when it comes to the Israelis. But once again, why is Donald Trump why was he pushing it during his first term, and even more so now during his second term, is because he wants neighbors around Israel that are submissive, both in word and in deed. Now, it continues. We encourage efforts to promote interfaith and intercultural dialogue to advance a culture of peace among the three Abrahamic religions and all humanity. That's simply not taking place during a genocide. That simply isn't taking place during the bombs that rained down on Lebanon. That wasn't a war that Hezbollah started. That was a war that the Israelis started. That was a long-standing conflict. Meanwhile, the Israelis were supposed to pull out of southern Lebanon 60 days after the cessation of hostilities. Up until now, that hasn't happened. It continues. We believe that the best way to address challenges is through cooperation and dialogue. Ain't much dialogue going on in Gaza and in the West Bank, wherein they are taking over, the settlers are taking more and more land, which, according to international law, when there really is no international law, but according to international law, those settlements are illegal. We continue. And that developing friendly relations among states advances the interests of lasting peace in the Middle East and around the world. Okay, what real peace does Israel have with its neighbors? It's certainly not with Lebanon. It's certainly not with Syria. If you want to talk about Jordan, there is, well, of course, they are a much more powerful military force, and therefore the Jordanians don't have any other choice. Also, because they are the third biggest recipient of U.S. Support, financial support. That's behind Israel, behind Egypt. There comes the Jordanians. And on the other side of their border, you've got the Egyptians, which is the second biggest recipient of U.S. Financial support. So those two countries are already bought and sold, and they are not in a position to do anything to help the people of Gaza, and they are on their borders. So it says here, cooperation and dialogue, and that developing friendly relations. Friendly relations, after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, the Israelis shelled to the tune of more than 300 airstrikes right onto Syrian territory, and the new government hadn't been in place for 48 hours. They had never attacked the Israelis under any circumstances, and yet bombs rained down on Syrian territory. That's not what I would call developing friendly relations. That sounds like pressure from Washington that you better sign, or else something bad is going to happen, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. It continues. We seek tolerance and respect for every person. Does that still include Palestinians? In order to make this world a place where all can enjoy a life of dignity and hope, no matter their race, faith, or ethnicity. This is total garbage. It's not real. It's fake. It's false. It's not worth the paper that it's printed on. Now, brothers and sisters, we want to understand something, what these Abraham Accords basically are. When you sign it with Israel, basically, this is a form of normalizing relations and acceptance of the state of Israel, along with the lands that they stole. In other words, you can't sign something like this and then contractually have the freedom to wage war to stop the genocide which is taking place. That's what they're after. Continues. We support science, art, medicine, and commerce to inspire humankind, maximize human potential, and bring nations closer together. Do I really need to say anything about this part? We support science, art, and medicine. What they're going to be opening up hospitals. They have destroyed 36 hospitals in Gaza alone. 36 medical institutions alone. Well, if they're going to start building some medical facilities, the Gazans are sure going to be in need of it. It continues. We seek to end radicalization and conflict to provide all children with a better future. Okay, what does radicalization mean to Israel and Trump? Radicalization means any type of resistance to the occupation or to the siege or to the land grab which is taking place in the Palestinian territories is viewed as radicalization. We have to be very careful of the mustalahat or the terminology which is being used. We've got to understand who's using it. We're not talking about scholars of Islam who are talking about the ghulu or going overboard or being radicalized and such like that. No, we're talking about people who, this one right here, which is his right-hand man, or maybe he's the other one's right-hand man, has been waging a genocide and killing hundreds of thousands of Muslims, and he's doing it right on TV with the financial and military support of this man. What do you think radicalization actually means to them? Next, we pursue a vision of peace, security, and prosperity in the Middle East and around the world. No, they don't. No, they don't. And when you sign this, if Syria were to sign this, this is an understanding that they agree to these to this statement, and all of this statement is total garbage and baloney. Don't think that, okay, well, maybe he would sign it and he could really find a way to, get in the middle or something like that. No, it doesn't work that way. This is designed to defang him. This is designed to make it crystal clear that this is a normalization with Israel. You cannot attack Israel, be hostile to Israel, no matter what everybody else is doing. Keeping in mind, Israel is occupying portions of Syria in the southern region, in the Quneitra region. They are arming and helping and assisting armed factions in the Suwaidat region as well. In the Dara area in southern Sudan, in southern Syria, they're also demanding, I'm talking about Tel Aviv, that there are no government troops in the southern areas, and yet they make sometimes daily incursions into Syrian territory, setting up checkpoints, arresting people, raiding homes, and stealing livestock. This is what's happening up until now. What the heck is this about? Now, finally, in this spirit, we warmly welcome and are encouraged by the progress already made in establishing diplomatic relations between Israel and its neighbors in the region under the principles of the Abraham Accords. Total garbage. Total garbage. Now, what is the fruit of the Abraham Accords? Because this was signed going back into Donald Trump's previous tenure as president of the United States. Well, the Houthi rebels in Yemen have been attacking ships which go to and fro the Israeli territories. Now, in attacking those ships, what they've been trying to do is to make an economic blockade so that to pressure Israel to release the pressure that's on the brothers and sisters in Gaza. But those signatories of the Abraham Accords, well, let's take a look what their idea was. Bahrain, that was one of the signatories of the Accords. and the United Arab Emirates, another signature of those accords. So what did they do instead of trying to help the brothers and sisters in Gaza who were suffering under a genocide? Well, they said to Israel, look, guys, why are you going to go through all that trouble, getting into firefights and such like that, and prices of food is going to go up? We got an idea for you. If you want your goods to reach the port of Haifa, which is in Israel, we got an idea for you. Your ships don't have to go all the way around Africa, which would add 300% markup to your food costs, bearing in mind that 50% of all food consumed by Israelis is imported. So what you can do, you can just bring your ships right here to Port Jebel Ali, right here in the United Arab Emirates, or you can go to the Bahrain port of Minat Salman, and you can unload your ships there. And there's a company called TruckNet. This company, TruckNet, its main office is in Tel Aviv, or I should say in Israel. And those trucks will unload the goods, go through Saudi Arabian territory, and go straight up to Jordanian territory and right into Israel. This is the fruit of the Abraham Accords. We haven't seen anything of any benefit for the Muslims for the Abraham Accords. Ahmed Shara, you better watch out. These people are not trying to help you. They're trying to sink you. And this is what the White House said regarding the situation currently. The White House said it would monitor the new Syrian government's actions, including, quote, taking concrete steps toward normalizing ties with Israel, end quote. It's all about Israel, baby. That's what this whole situation is all about. As well as, quote, addressing foreign terrorists. Who's saying that, who's making this statement? Non-Muslims. Who's making this statement? Friends of Israel. Anybody who is a practicing Muslim who believes in the right to self-determination, and even further than that, the fact that they believe that Islam should be the final, should be the source of legislation first, foremost, and bottom line. What do you think they mean by addressing foreign terrorists and, quote, banning Palestinian terrorist groups, end quote? Terrorist groups. That means any Palestinian group that wants freedom for their people should automatically be banned. This is why I am saying to everybody here, there is no benefit for the Muslims in signing or being a part of the Abraham Accords. It is a surrender document. Now, somebody might say, come on, Bilal, they don't have the means to fight Israel. So just let them sign it and then maybe we could fight another day. Well, they don't do it that way. So you got to understand something. They're not going to let your country grow economically, militarily, and socially under the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords are just so that you are sit and you are quiet. At the same time, if you want to take a look at the normalization treaty that they have with the Jordanians. Have the Jordanian people, are they really benefiting from economic prosperity? If cash is what you're really interested in, are they benefiting from economic prosperity? No, they're not benefiting from it. They're subject to poverty. And if you look at the other side of the divide, the Egyptians who signed normalization documents many years ago, at the time of 2013, the Egyptian pound was, I think, about at the time of the fall of Hosni Mubarak, 3.4, something along those lines. Junahat Misri to $1 At the fall of Mohammed Morsi, it was 7.32, something along those lines. And now it's 50 Junay Misri to $1. Tell me again how normalization with Israel contributes to the economic success of a country. But it goes back to one thing: control. The Americans are financially backing to the tune of $1.3 billion to the Jordanians, more than that to the Egyptians. So when the smoke clears, Sisi and Malik Abdullah, they can't do without America. That's what they want for Ahmed al-Shara and the Syrian people, that they can't do without them. Now, somebody might say, okay, well, look, after all this war, we still don't want any trouble. So if we can't do without the Americans, at least we'll be able to live. Brothers and sisters, they're not going to let you live. You've got the Kurdish militia forces, which are in the north, which are widely rumored to have ongoing support and assistance from Tel Aviv. They control a full 1/3 of the country. That's in the northeast. In the south, part of the country is in the Quneitra area is occupied by the Israelis. So the point of the matter is that they're not going to let you rest and grow. So we have to stop that thinking, because there's been no success story for us to focus on. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's take a look and see what kind of questions, comments, and or concerns you guys have, because this is an important topic and I'm keen to know what you guys think here. Okay, we've got here Mr. Tanks, who says, Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now he comes back and he says, death to the IDF. All right, let's talk about that. Okay, this was by a music group which was having a concert just a couple of days ago, and the entire media world is up in arms. How could they do that? This is calling for violence against the Jews. And it also went on to say, this is support for Hamas. Let's talk business for a second. Yo, check this out. You've got thousands of Palestinians which were killed throughout this conflict, even dozens which have been killed just this past weekend alone. But that's not important to these news media outlets around the world. But a slogan, a statement that doesn't call for support for Hamas, it doesn't call for that. But talking about death to an army which has been implicated in a genocide, with a prime minister who has been implicated in a genocide by the ICC, and where human rights organizations around the world have all documented that a famine which is taking place as a result, a direct result of the siege which has been placed around Gaza. And you got a problem with somebody saying death to the IDF? I ain't got no problem with that. I don't know about the other people, but I digress. Next. All right, let's see. Okay, another question. What is the general approach of local Syrians in your locality regarding Israel? Are they passionate about retaliation now? The Syrian people, to be real with you, would like an opportunity to have a breather after the years of war in the north, and then the years of oppression by Bashar al-Assad. May Allah give him what he deserves. They would like to have a breather. That's what they want. They don't want war with anybody. But the unfortunate thing is that the Israelis understand that, and they're going to press the advantage. That's why they're doing it now. That's why they're pressing Washington to press Ahmed al-Shara to sign on the dotted line. And they also want Ahmed al-Shara to be dependent on Washington, because once you're dependent on them, you can't say no. You can't say no. What would happen if Syria goes to war with Israel under the Abraham Accords? Much love from Idlib. Okay, here's the situation. Nobody is calling for war with Israel. Don't equate not signing the Abraham Accords to war with Israel, because the two are not necessarily complementary to each other, or one and the same, actually. What's being said here is that I can't sign on to an agreement that has no basis in reality and is designed to subjugate me and my people. My people need prosperity. We can't do that by normalizing with an entity that is occupying part of our country and is colluding with the Kurdish militia forces who are trying to undermine the government, even though they signed an agreement where we're looking to force to see if they're going to follow through with it. An agreement between Ahmed al-Shara and Madloum Abdi. We haven't seen the fruits of that as of yet. It's going to take a bit of time, but so far it's not looking like anything is going to come out of that. But we're going to be willing to stand back and watch and see. So to go back to your question, what would happen in a war with Israel? Any war with Israel would be a war in which they forced upon the Muslims because we are not being the aggressors. They've been bombing our territories for since the fall of Bashar al-Assad with impunity. They are widely reported to have been using the skies over Syria to refuel their planes to bomb Iran. Now, we are no friends of Iran, but also at the same time, we don't want them using our skies to be able to attack their enemies. That's their thing. It's not our thing. So if there was going to be any war, it would be a war which would be forced upon us, and Allah would help us, and we would resist with everything that Allah would give us. Now, okay, Aki, why do you stream so late? Well, most of our viewing audience, or a big portion of our viewing audience, are English speakers, and they're in the West. So we're talking about we're 4 hours ahead of the brothers and sisters in the UK, 7 on the East Coast in America, and 11 hours on the West Coast. So yeah, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. Next question. I hope Jolani stays true. I hope the same thing. Ali says, if the Syrian government signs these agreements, what will be the response of the Mujahideen in Syria? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question. I wish I did. I hear a lot of different things, but what will be their response? Will it be an individuals responding? Will it be a unified response? I don't have the answer to that question at the moment. It says here, if we want to move to Syria, what area do you recommend for schools for kids and women and schools for men? Quran, Ida. Maybe you could direct message me. You can find me on Twitter at Bilal Kareem, Bilal Kareem, and I can probably maybe talk you through that just a little bit. Okay, we've got here. If Egypt had Morsi now, there would be a pact between Syria, Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt. They would have a big name in the political game. May Allah have mercy on Mohammed Morsi. I didn't agree with all of his stances in politics, but my wife doesn't agree with all of my stances in politics. But I think he was sincere, and I think that things would have been a lot different had he been allowed to continue his reign. He wasn't, and it brought to power Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, which is a total bum, loser, louse, coward. I don't even know the words to describe him, how a genocide could be taking place on your borders and you do absolutely nothing. I would like to know, how do you look at your wife and say to her, honey, I'm going to work? I could imagine her saying, going to work, do what? What you doing? Ain't clear to me. I don't know. But I know my wives, I would struggle that if I have one of the biggest armies in the Middle East and there's a genocide going on and I don't send a single grenade and I'm watching the brothers and sisters get be slaughtered. I don't see how you do that. I don't see. I don't see. Okay. All right. How can the lives of Syrians get better without lifting sanctions? Well, let's talk business for a second. Question. The Taliban in Afghanistan, were the sanctions lifted off of them? The answer is absolutely positively no. It was not. None of their sanctions were lifted off of them. You see, you have to understand that life does not begin and end with America and whether there are or are not sanctions. This is the first thing. I believe, in my opinion, we have to get out of this mentality that America has to be pleased with us or we can't live. Well, I don't see it like that. The Taliban don't see it like that. The Taliban are building multi-billion-dollar projects like a new dam that will provide electricity for their country, even perhaps enough electricity to export, which would be another source of income for them. They're doing trade with other countries in their area in their own currency, not in the US dollar. That's huge. They're also working on another project wherein they're building roads to connect the different provinces to one another so that trade and prosperity can grow. So that's a proof right there that you don't have to bend down and kiss the ring of the US president, or else you can't live, you can't survive. One of the issues is that the Taliban are the true authorities of Afghanistan, but here in Syria, our government isn't. Hopefully they will be, but right now they're not. Okay, all right. Sanctions do not really stop countries from progressing. They're less significant than you think. The sanctions infrastructure on Syria dates to 2004, but it was still growing and intact. I agree with it 150%. Yes, it makes it more difficult, but to say that you can't get along, you can't grow, you can't prosper. With Allah, everything is possible. And we have other people who are doing it. The Taliban are doing it. So we have an example to follow, and they don't have less enemies than we have here in Syria. They really don't. The Americans would love to see them fail. All righty. How much possibility to sign the Abraham Accords by the Ahmed al-Shara government of if he denied to sign it, then have the possibility to embargo to Syria again. If he doesn't sign the Abraham Accords, I believe what will happen is that those 180-day waivers that the Trump administration gave the Syrians, the sanctions relief is not real relief. It's just a tool to be able to control the government. I believe if he doesn't sign it, then they'll come up with some cockamamie story as to why they will not renew the 180-day waivers. What is the possibility that I think that he will sign? I got to tell you, I wish I could tell you that it was low, but I don't think it. I think that it's pretty high that he might sign it. Why? Because America really wants to create a scenario. If you look at the King of Abdullah, the King Abdullah in Jordan, if you look at Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, what do they have in common? They are countries, I should say, they are regimes which are totally propped up and dependent upon the U.S. government. They cannot survive without the U.S. government. Okay, after having said that, that's the perfect model that U.S. foreign policy uses to be able to track governments in their web. What they do is they come in and they say they want to help, they want to do some good things and want to lift sanctions and sanctions relief and all this other stuff. Okay, that sounds really, really good. But the way that they do it, it alienates the government and the people. So there's a perpetual back and forth war between the authorities and the people that they're ruling over. This weakens the government, it weakens the people. And therefore, it's a perpetual cycle of them weakening one another, while Washington continues to dominate what that government says and doesn't say, what it does and what it doesn't do, what it allows and what it doesn't allow. That's their means of control. They keep you weak. They keep pumping money into a government which is not popular with the people, but they don't care in Washington. The government there can torture and maim and do whatever it is that they want, as long as they give Washington their due, which is everything that they ask for. And you can't say no. Have you spoken to any HTS about their thoughts on normalization? In my opinion, HTS would lose credibility if they normalize. If you're talking about Islamic credibility, I don't know how much Islamic credibility they may currently have. I'm not saying they don't have any, because they do. But see, you got to understand something. I'm not talking about popular support, because many of the people, particularly the people who are in the southern part of the country, are not necessarily religious people. And you're talking about Islamic credibility. That's not a criterion for a lot of Syrians. You got to keep in mind, this country was decimated by Bashar and Hafez al-Assad. May Allah give them both what they deserve. Ameen. And you've got to understand that they, Islamic credibility and such like that is not an issue for a lot of the people here. It is for some people. It is for those who fought for this country in the north. But in the southern parts, in the southern areas, that's not a big that's not a big issue. So we have to maybe understand how big an issue that is to the 20 or however many million people are still living here in Syria. It's not the number one thing. I wish it was, but it currently isn't. So I don't think that that is in and of itself is going to be enough to stop Ahmed Shara from signing. I hope he doesn't do it, because he will be even more under the control of his enemies. Okay, last question. Let's see. Okay, do you think the Syrian people would tolerate the economic hardship caused by the sanctions being in place after feeling the triumph and expectations of a skyrocketing in living standards post December 8th? No, I don't think so. But I also think another thing. Washington understands that. Washington, Trump, they understand that if things got so bad here, the people would revolt against Ahmed Shara, and that would kind of undo a lot of the work that they've been doing since December 8th and before that. So they're going to be in a situation where they're going to give him enough to be able to survive, enough to placate the people. Some of the salaries were raised, and that was a good thing. Now, I want you to understand something. Economic prosperity is a good thing, but also at what cost? You see, America is not going to let the Syrian people grow and prosper and get strong financially, because if they do, the first thing they're going to do is try to get strong militarily. You think they'll allow that on the borders of Israel? I certainly don't think so. And there is no Abraham Accord which is going to act as a guarantee. Because even if they totally control Ahmed Shara and Shaybani and the other major figures in the government, what happens if they died tomorrow? What happens if they were killed? What happens if some other unforeseen thing takes place? Who takes over after them? So they're not necessarily just after these figures. They want to weaken the entire structure. That's American foreign policy. That's the way that they do things, and Allah knows best. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're going to wrap this up. Please do visit our crowdfunding page. That's medina.com/voices of truth. We're working hard on this project, and we really, really need your help, guys. Please donate to us $10, $50, $100, $1,000. I would love an opportunity to make strong this project, where we're documenting the atrocities that took place under the Assad regime in an effort so that there is an archive, it's there, and people can hear from the lips of the oppressed Syrian people exactly what happened to their families, exactly who was abducted and never returned, those people who were in Assad's torture chambers and survived, what were their stories and their accounts. Please visit our crowdfunding page. That's medina.com/voices of truth. I am Bilal Abdul Kareem. Jazakum Allah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.